Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And we're going to have so much fun today because we're going to be talking about doing business with, I need a sound effect, dun, 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 Amazon. You know, it is something that millions of people either buy from or sell through. And more, if people are going online to sell their products and services. And of course, the thing is going through Amazon or some other online type of service. And so please join me in welcoming Stephen Summers to our program today. Welcome, Stephen.
Well, Deb, thank you so much. What a great introduction. Your energy is infectious. I hopefully you can bring the exact same amount today.
Well, and I haven't even touched my coffee yet. So that's always fun. You're obviously coming to us from just a ways away from Atlanta. You're in Ireland, so I love that. Always fun when we have our international guests. But you know what? You might be our first Irish. I've had some English, but I'm not, and I think a Scottish guest, but not Irish. So,
well, there you go. Well, hopefully I can live up to whatever people think Irish people are like, and maybe
somebody, they only have to take one look at me and go, oh yeah, she's Irish and Scottish,
for sure.
But yeah, and we were laughing before the program that my COVID hair will be going away later on today. And so I'll get back to looking a little more of my redhead. But that's always fun. So, let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we'll really dive into this because there's so much information. Sure. I know we're not going to get it done. And so we'll just have to have you on again.
Fantastic. I love it.
Cool. So Stephen Summers is the co-founder of Marketplace Superheroes, an online education and services company that helps people all over the world learn how to sell their own products globally on Amazon from complete scratch. Together with his business partner, Robert, Stephen has won five Two Comma Club awards for Marketplace Superheroes, which is now an 8-figure business. And the guys have helped over 5,200 people to create multiple income streams online. So again, Stephen, welcome.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to hear your questions today. I'm really looking forward to it.
This is going to be so much fun. It's one of the things that I always love asking my guests is, how did you determine that this was your passion in life? How'd you get here?
Yeah, wow. At least we have a bit of time today. That's good. So I won't go too far back, but just to give some context to anybody listening or watching, I'm 33 years old now, almost. And so I started like 10 years ago. I was like a lot of people who were in their kind of earlier 20s. I had no idea how to start a business. I had never had a business before, but I was working in a job for a number of years. And, I had an ambition to do something different with myself. Didn't know what to do, had gone through college, didn't finish college, did 3 years, and just didn't feel it was right for me. And so I had been in the music industry at the time, trying to figure out how to get into that. And as you might have guessed, Deb, I didn't make it in music, and that's okay. I'm over it. Really. So anyway, I was working in this job I was a data processor, which is as exciting as it sounds, which basically meant I would take forms, I would type them into a computer all day long and get extremely bored in between. So I started searching online like a lot of people listening today might have, like how to build a business, how to make money and things like that. And I went down a kind of path of like, just people saying, oh, do affiliate marketing, oh, do this, oh, do that, oh, do drop shipping. And I really got stuck because I tried a few of those things and none of them really worked for me, quote unquote. But in reality, I didn't really give much of them a chance. But at the same time, it just felt like the internet was honestly, a bit scammy back then, in my early 20s. everyone was just like, oh, teach other people to make money, then you can make money,
Mhm.
which is kind of ironic because that's kind of one of our businesses now.
Right. Mhm.
But anyway, I was like, look, there's nothing I can teach people. I'm a data processor. I'm a
Mhm.
young guy. I don't know anything. What's one thing I can sell
Mhm.
that I can just get into and I don't have to have any particular knowledge or whatever? And it was just physical products, you know? So
Right.
I thought, well, I could feel good about selling something of quality to
Mhm.
friends, family, without feeling weird. It wasn't like
Mhm.
an opportunity or anything like that.
Right.
So I went on the search,
Mhm.
trying to find who can teach me how to do this thing.
Mhm.
And again, like a lot of people today, found lots of different websites, lots of different courses, got myself really stuck. And luckily for me, you know, I met this guy called Robert, who, as you
Mhm.
mentioned, is still my business partner today.
Mhm.
My aunt introduced me to Robert. Robert was one of her good friends,
Mhm.
and she heard that I was looking to get into business. So he was selling products on Amazon and
Mm.
eBay in the UK only at the time.
Okay.
And luckily for me, took me under his wing. I took a vacation week from work. I went to the warehouse. It was freezing cold. There were a couple of rats running around. But, you know, for the first time in my life, I actually saw like a real business with
Mhm.
real products,
Mhm.
real people. And I was like, wow, this is something I could really get into.
Mhm.
So cutting a long story short, I worked with Robert for free for about 9 months,
Mhm.
learning how the business worked. I lived in my aunt's spare room at the time. She let me stay there, thankfully, which I'm eternally grateful for. And just started learning everything I could from Robert. And
Mhm.
we basically decided at the time he had 2 warehouses, lots of staff. And
Mhm.
we thought, you know, there's a better way to do this e-commerce thing that he was doing. And we thought, well, what if we just sold everything on Amazon? We were on eBay as well at the time, sell
Mhm.
everything on Amazon and use this thing called fulfillment by Amazon. And in
Okay.
case people don't know what that is,
Mhm.
very quickly, that just is a way where you can send your own products
Mhm.
or other people's, but your own, we wanted to sell our own products to Amazon.
Mhm.
They'll hold it in stock on your behalf.
Mhm.
And every time you make a sale, Amazon will send out your product to that person. And we were getting, and still do, get many of our products produced in the Far East. We also
Mhm.
produce some products in America as well. And so that's basically what I did with Robert.
Mhm.
We decided we'll get rid of the warehouse, we'll get rid of all the staff. Let's just go with Amazon. Let's go all in. Let's sell in as many Amazon countries as we can.
Mhm.
We'll sell our own branded products. And basically it took us about 18 months
Mhm.
to really like get the business rocking back again because a lot of Robert's old products, they kind of died, the product
Mhm.
lines. They were too
Mhm.
saturated. So
Mhm.
we basically restarted and regrew it
Mhm.
and did that for a number of years. You know, we ran the business. It was doing a few million a year.
Mhm.
We were making a nice income, but, you know, saw other people teaching this Amazon thing. And we thought they were not teaching it the way we would. We
Mhm.
felt like it was incomplete. Some of the information was, it wasn't quite right. So again, cutting the story quite short, it's 10 years. Basically, we decided, look, let's teach our own thing. So about 5 years ago, we started doing Marketplace Superheroes after doing the business for like 4 years together or whatever it was.
Mhm.
And Robert's been doing that a lot longer than I have. He's doing it like over 20 years now.
Mm.
And so, yeah, we've helped over 6,000 people now. We actually run a freight company as well, Superhero Freight, which I can
Mhm.
talk about. It's a way where we partner with our members long term. We
Mm.
save them a lot of shipping from
Mhm.
China. And yeah, that's how I got here. I mean, there's a lot in between, but that's as short as I can make it, Deb. You have it.
I love it. Well, I think a lot of people don't even realize that a good portion, if not the majority, of things sold on Amazon are through third-party vendors. So exactly someone like you. We all think, oh, it's Amazon and they own all of it. No, they're kind of the pass-through. Like you said, they're the shipper. They process the orders, they ship it all out, they store the product for you. All those various things. But they're just kind of that middleman,
Marketplace.
and so that's where it's great for people because you're not having to do that. Now, clearly, you have to pay Amazon to do that. And
Sure.
so I'm sure one of the first questions people get is, doesn't Amazon take so much that it's not
Yeah.
worth it?
It's funny. My accountant used to say to us, oh my God, Amazon take a lot of
Mm-hmm.
percentages of your sale and all
Mm-hmm.
that. Why don't you just do it yourselves? It'll save you a lot of money, right? And it's like, well, there's a few things on that. The first thing is that whatever the sales price of a product is, let's say it's $20, 30% of that should be your net profit before tax. In other words, after all is said and done,
Mm-hmm.
you should be making 30% in your hand of whatever your sales price is. So in case anybody's wondering, that's the kind of profit margin we're after. So $6 for $20 sale. Now with Amazon, yes, they do charge you commissions. They charge you handling fees and things like that. But if you had your own website, you got to drive your own traffic, which as everybody who's listening has ever done that, it's expensive, difficult to do. But that's where Amazon give you that power of millions of customers that you can tap into for a very low amount of money. And a lot of the things that you pay for, you only really pay for them whenever you make a sale. So it's very visible in nature, which is great. On from that, millions of customers, like I mentioned, in multiple countries. So that's the big thing, Deb. A lot of people, they really only think about Amazon.com.
Right.
Actually, like Amazon.com is a huge market. It is the biggest market Amazon have. Lots more now. I mean, in Europe, Amazon.co.uk is a huge market. .de in Germany, .fr in France, .it, .es, .nl, .pl. These are all European countries where you can sell. And the really cool thing about Amazon is for a relatively small amount of money, and it's variable, a lot of it is, you can sell to millions of people.
Right.
Now, is your own website then we're getting into, well, I've got to drive customers there, traffic there, so there's a cost there. I've also got to have my SEO in order so that people will actually find me for free as well. Amazon, you get a lot of those benefits. Are there drawbacks? Absolutely. Of course, they're Amazon's customers. But on the other side, our audience, ourselves included, we just like the simplicity of the fact that you can come in, you can treat Amazon almost like a stock market. You can buy products that are going to work, that are profitable for you. And then you get all this infrastructure. I mean, Amazon, they just took on, I know it's one of the things you want to talk about, they just took on 100,000 new warehouse staff recently to deal with the sheer volume, increasing volume of sales. And so every time you put your products into an Amazon fulfillment center in any country, like all this staff are working on your behalf and you only have to pay really whenever you make a sale, other than it's a few costs, like, but nothing major. So yeah, it's a really simplified global business model, and that's what we love about it. So yes, there's expenses, but if you were to do it yourself, and let's say you thought, well, I'm going to ship it myself, and I was just selling Amazon, you just wouldn't make as many sales because when you use FBA, you look like Amazon for all intents.
Right. Yeah. Nobody. That's why people don't realize there's third-party vendors. You know, because everything is marketed as Amazon. Now it says on there, you know, provided by or whoever on like the invoice and on the website. But yeah, the packaging and the little trucks that are you know, they all say Amazon.
And as well, I'm sure you're a Prime customer, Deb, are you?
Oh, of course.
As am I, you know, and that's a huge benefit. Like for anybody who doesn't know.
Pays for itself within a month every time it renews because, you know, well, I got 2 packages yesterday.
Yeah, and you probably get them pretty quickly as well, seeing as where you live. Here in Ireland, they're not quite as quick at the moment. In the UK, they're fantastic. But that said, you know, with Prime, for anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's just a way where you or I, we can pay a yearly fee, monthly in some places, and essentially we get faster shipping and lots of other benefits like Prime Video, it's like Netflix and things like that.
Right. Oh,
so it's
worth it to me just so I can watch The Amazing Mrs. Maisel.
I've never seen it, so I'll have to watch it.
Okay, you have to watch. She's really funny. She is really funny.
All right, I'm listening. Well, if she's as funny as you, I'll definitely.
No, I'm here. She's.
all right. I'll listen. I'll watch that. But yeah, like so, it's huge. Like I mean, even Prime customers, like there's nearly 100 million Amazon Prime customers now, which is incredible. I mean, even Amazon themselves were saying, you know, if we hadn't charged for Prime. It still would have been the best thing ever. But the fact they charge for it obviously is great for them, but it's great for us too, because like, I don't know about you, but when I go to most websites now, I tread carefully because I never get the same treatment that I get on Amazon.
Right.
Sometimes you get great treatment now, but a lot of times you never really know how quick you're going to receive something. What's the customer support going to be like, you know?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because, you know, now I don't buy a lot from, say, Etsy or eBay or places like that, but they're still fairly independent. You know, you know, and then of course there are lots of, you know, many other online retailers. Amazon just has the clout and the resources and things like that. You know, and you mentioned cost savings. I mean, if somebody was selling, say, laundry soap and, you know, just having to have a warehouse to put that in. Now, you know, you do have the product, but Amazon has it. But if you had to have that, then you'd be paying rent, or you would have bought the building. You'd have to have people there. You'd have all those expenses that go with that. So you're really going to have to be selling high volumes of whatever it is in order to do that. And of course, Amazon figured it out initially with books. I actually remember, you probably don't, you're too young.
I do. No, I remember.
When Amazon really started just to sell books, and then when it got to the point where you published through Amazon. Yeah. So no longer did, the author have to have 20,000 copies of his own book in his basement.
Yeah.
Amazon prints it and sends it out. And it's print on demand. That's the cool part about it. And they don't have 20,000 of anybody's books sitting around either. Unless it's a major author that they know is going to go quickly. Yeah. But somebody like me, they're not going to do that. And so they figured it out very quickly that was the way to go, and funnel the authors through there. And then of course businesses caught on real fast that, hey, this is a good way too. We don't have all of those other expenses.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. I mean, we call it the coffee shop reality in Marketplace Superheroes world, where we basically tell our clients, look, like, if you're going to go out, just like you said, you're going to have buildings, insurance, all that. I'm not going to go over that again, because you covered it really well. But it's like, yeah, you're talking about at least 100,000 just to start a business, like, to get those things in place, and then you've got the ongoing. So it's huge, and then I did mention we have a phrase side of what we do, and I'll just mention that briefly in case anybody's wondering what I'm talking about there. What we did there was, you mentioned how you send your stock to Amazon, but you're entirely right. You would do that. One of the mistakes we made whenever we started, and we had no choice, we didn't have what we call a pre-Amazon location, which is essentially somewhere you obviously send stuff before you hit Amazon, because Amazon is they're fulfillment centers, right? Not warehouses. People call them they're not warehouses, right? So
because they're not just storing.
Right, exactly. And so in other words, like, if you're storing a lot of products and it takes time to get your products established, a little bit of time, you're going to pay quite a bit of storage for those items. So we realized, one of the things that we could offer to our clients, and ourselves too, by the way, is we could have our own warehouses. After getting rid of them many years ago, we were like, right, we need to do this again. We've been trying to do it for a few years now, but in the last 18 months, we actually have a huge warehouse in Houston, Texas now. We've got one in Northern Ireland for Europe, and we've got one in Brisbane, Australia for Australia, obviously. And the reason we do that for anybody listening is just a tip for anybody as well. It's like, if you can send your stock somewhere other than Amazon and send a smaller amount into Amazon and keep replenishing, you're gonna do a lot better. It's a little side note, but that's why we created a freight company to save people money shipping in from the Far East, because we ship in containers of stock.
Right, and so there's bulk.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's a side note. We can come back to that, but I just wanted to bring that up. But yeah, cost savings, 100%. Speed of getting in front of the customers, massive. So then, like, a lot of people might be wondering, well, what's the trick, like, let's call it, quote unquote, or what's the thing to focus on? And it always comes down to the products. At the end of the day, when you treat Amazon like a stock market, like what we do, you're looking to get to a place where you're selling lots of different products in different niches. And what we look for is a small number of sales for each product in each different country. We don't go after the big, really competitive products, because we just feel like you got to be a really top level market to do that. We're looking for, and we always give the example of, like, the things that cover the feet of a washing machine to stop them from scratching the ground. That's what we're looking for, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah. And you're right. It's something that not a lot of people buy, but when you need it, you need it.
Yes. And you're just going to buy it. It's
right. Yeah. Because you're not going to wreck your linoleum.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And as well as that, other people then that come into these markets, right? Myself included, when I started, we're always like, because of all these Lamborghini people, like, they're always telling us, you want to go and sell the most competitive products, sell as many of them every day as you can. And I remember meeting Robert for the first time in the warehouse, saying this to him, oh, well, surely we're going after, vitamins and supplements and all that stuff. And he's like, no. We'll never sell those. Here's what we're going to be selling, plastic shoe boxes and this and storage containers and all. And I was like, oh, that's kind of boring. Disappointed, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to.
And then you get those checks.
Yeah. So essentially, yeah, it's just so funny. Like, we always tell our members now, if you're not embarrassed about what you sell, you're probably selling something that's too competitive.
Right. Yeah. And the whole thing with it being too competitive is there are too many options.
Yeah.
And that's where it does get confusing on Amazon. I was looking, we're getting ready, we're actually going to take a little trip. Oh my gosh. And so one of the things that I wanted were small containers of hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how many, and of course I was doing it on my phone, so that made it even worse. But I mean, there were hundreds of thousands, definitely thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. Well, and then, you start clicking down, okay, well, I'm Prime, so that, does, but yeah, I mean, there were just so many things. And so you might be in a really competitive field, but unless you pay to have sponsored, and the various things that move you up on Amazon's list, your page, it's kind of like when somebody does a Google search, right? If you're not on page one, doesn't matter. And so that's where having those niche products works, because you come up first or second, or, at least on the first page.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's in essence, that's for every business the world over.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same. It should be the same focus. Many times it's not the same focus, unfortunately. But yeah, in our neck of the woods, like we're going to Amazon, and just to give people some like numbers that we look for,
Mm-hmm.
just because we've loads of this on our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many research videos I've made. I've lost count at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But really what we're looking for is like, when we go to Amazon, the quickest hack I can give anybody listening today is to go and look at a list of hobbies, right?
Mm.
So you can do that by going to Wikipedia,
Mm-hmm.
and you can type in hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
They'll give you this big list, indoor, outdoor, all kinds of stuff.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And let's say you took drawing, for example, and so the hack is we go to Amazon, type in drawing and then accessories. Because we always are looking for accessories typically,
Mm-hmm.
not always the main product.
Right.
That's not always the case, but that's
Mm-hmm.
like a good starting point.
Mm-hmm.
Then we basically drill down to different categories
Mm-hmm.
within this big drawing category.
Mm-hmm.
And where we get to, I have a video on it, we get to these like wooden mannequins, right? A wooden mannequin is like a little stick guy or woman,
Uh-huh.
and you put them in their position you want to draw them in, right? So like,
Oh, okay. So you're drawing the little guy going.
yeah, little guy, and he's
Okay.
got his little stance going on there, right?
Mhm.
So like, and that's kind of funny, but at the same time, like, it's not, I'm not saying to go out and sell that, right? I'm
Mhm.
not saying that, but what I am saying is like, that's the kind of product
Mhm.
you'd be looking for. Whereas a lot of people, when they get started online, they instantly want to go and sell the pencil kit,
Right. The pad, the paper. Mm-hmm.
exactly, because like that's what we think about straight away, and I was the very same. So it's almost like when we take in members, we're always very quick to like, here's what you want to sell,
Mhm.
here's what you want to avoid. And so some other things you want to avoid in Amazon, like plastic bottles, water bottles,
Oh yeah, that's going to be a big popular item. Mhm.
bento boxes, all this. Because as you just said, Deb, you're 100% correct. Like, let's say you're going to sell a bento box on Amazon,
Mhm.
right? Well, then you type that in. You'll see they come in all different colors,
Mhm.
all different designs, kids, adults, lunch,
Mhm.
like it goes on and on and on. So am I saying though the bento boxes don't sell? Definitely not. They sell massively.
Right.
But the truth is, for you or I, we're just starting out in this thing.
Yeah, we can't do it.
Very difficult.
Mhm.
And I just wouldn't want people to, and I've heard horror stories, and this is one of the reasons we started Marketplace Superheroes.
Mhm.
I remember hearing from this lady, and she would have been probably in her late 50s at the time. So
Mhm.
she was, not retirement age, but she was, thinking about it down the line, and she was
Mhm.
getting stuff in place to do that. She was with another program. And I remember she was telling me like she bought 2 containers worth of different products. Like
Wow.
20-foot containers, like, which is
Mhm.
crazy, by the way, for anybody listening. We would never do that.
Mhm.
And I remember just chatting to her about it, saying like, why did you do that?
Mhm.
Why? Like, and she's
Yeah.
like, oh, I just thought I could sell this stuff. And
Mhm.
she bought really competitive products. And
Mhm.
it was just like, that's where I don't want people to be. I'd much
Mhm.
rather someone said to me, I've ordered a pallet
Mhm.
of these wooden mannequins,
Right.
and I'm going to bring them in.
Mhm.
I'm going to sell them in multiple Amazon countries. So I'm
Mhm.
going to send some stock to the US,
Yeah.
send some stock to the UK.
Mhm.
I'm going to go global with this thing
Mhm.
and get it rocking. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. And of course the key is to have a manufacturer that you're working with that can replenish the supply pretty quick. So, you're not telling people, oh, well, I know you want the wooden mannequin, but you can't get it from me for 3 weeks because then I go to the next person in line. And so it is a very complicated process.
No
You know,
doubt.
and of course, Amazon does make it easier because they work with you. You know, they're going to tell you, hey, your supply in our Atlanta warehouse or, fulfillment center is getting low, all those various things. I mean, you know, they want to make, they want to make money too. So they're
Sure.
not going to let you get out of stock. But, we were talking before the program, one of the things that I think is really, there's clearly a lot of things going on. As we are recording this, we're in the middle of the pandemic. Things are just starting to open back up.
Yeah.
We're not going to know for 6 months, maybe even a year, as to exactly how things are going to go again. And so, two things. The first is obviously lots more online ordering, but we've got a lot of people, and this is where I think what you offer is so cool. We've got a lot of people who are thinking, I need to either totally replace my income, or supplement it. So maybe they want a side hustle or something like that. And, I defy anybody to find anyone who hasn't ordered at least once from Amazon. They might not have liked it. They might not have ordered. My mother, who is 87 years old, has ordered from Amazon. Now, have I been there poking the button? Yes. But, it was something that she couldn't get in her small town in Kansas. And so we were able to order it pretty quickly. But, and so I think a lot of people are thinking, how do I even get started selling on Amazon? Because, we all hear the things, well, there's, you can't even get a person, and all of these things. So kind of without giving away all of the secret sauce, because of course we want them to contact you for the full, but how does somebody even get started on working with Amazon?
Well, the first thing is the product, right? Like we just kind of briefly chatted about, and the mindset that we're looking for there. So assuming we've got a little bit of an idea of the product we're going to sell, and that, again, I gave that little hack idea. The other idea, just for anybody listening as well, who was wondering, we would go into a category in Amazon, let's say home and kitchen, and we would look at the top 100 bestsellers, which we would never sell. But we started to look for, related items. So items that are related to the bestsellers that are not quite as popular. That's what we're looking to do at a very base level. I mean, it took us a while if we got into the whole research process, but that's essentially what we're doing. And typically there are accessories, like I mentioned, etc. Let's say we have that in place. Well, then the best thing to do, no matter where you live, is to have a limited liability company of some kind.
Right. Because Amazon doesn't want to deal with Joe Schmo in his basement.
Not anymore. They used to do that, but it's professional now at this point in time. They're almost a $1 trillion business now. They want their marketplace to have legit people on there, which is great. And that's brilliant for all of us.
It's their, it's their reputation that's on the line.
Exactly. So anyway, we have a limited liability company in place. Again, look, it could be an S Corp, C Corp, US, whatever. That's up to you. Speak to your CPA about that. But I would recommend that. Then you get your bank account in place for your company, all those different things. Credit card, chargeable internationally, get that in place. And I say that, Deb, because it's actually really important, because a lot of people come in without all this stuff in place. They get their account suspended and they wonder why, right? And it's because they don't have all their ducks in order.
Right.
So once you have all that in place, all the documentation that you require, you can then get your Amazon account set up. I do recommend, though, like I said, remember, I did say, I'm assuming you know what products you're going to be selling.
Right. So you're selling a widget.
Yeah. And that's the important thing, because there's people out there who start an Amazon account today with their company, but they don't know what they're going to sell, and it just sits there for 3 or 4 months. They're figuring that out, and they're just costing money for no good reason.
Right. Yeah, because Amazon isn't going to have it sitting in their space without charging you at least a little bit.
Yeah, you're gonna pay for your seller account, which is only like $40 bucks a month or whatever. But the point is, no point needlessly paying for something if you don't. So it's the typical. Yourself, you've spoken to hundreds of entrepreneurs, thousands of entrepreneurs at this point. Like a lot of people, what's the first thing to do? Start a business, to get like a logo done and all that. The big thing here is the product. Then we get the business set up. Then we get our Amazon account set up. Then we get the thing in coming in. Now, if anybody out there who says to me, oh, well, like I got my account suspended, this, that, and the other, I find it always comes down to my fault. What did I do? Because typically, like when you play the rules with Amazon, there's no issue whatsoever. They're more than happy to play ball. So those things in place. You get your Amazon account set up. Well, just imagine you're in .com.
Mhm.
Amazon now have an ability where you can have all the countries inside one seller account. It
Mm.
used to be, whenever we
Mhm.
started our accounts, we used to have a separate account for all lots of different countries.
Mhm.
So typically you'll have one Amazon seller account, maybe two if you
Mhm.
have a separate one for Europe. But a lot of times now you can have it all sitting under one roof.
Mhm.
I'm not going to get into company structure if you're going to sell globally because it's a little bit complex, Deb.
Right.
But just to say, it's all figure outable.
Mhm.
It's all quite
And
simple.
and we've talked about it numerous times. You need a lawyer and you need a CPA. And
Mhm.
make that investment, folks. This is not something you do by just Googling it. And make,
I
and
agree with that.
because, yeah, you need for example, tax ID number.
Yeah.
Amazon, they
Yeah.
probably would accept your social security number, but yeah, you want a tax ID. You want to become that legal entity. And the important thing is it's that legal entity that's going to protect you. If
Right.
your widget hurts somebody, you don't want them taking your house.
Yeah.
That's
It's
what
no,
it comes down
listen,
to.
that is great advice. And I'm delighted that you're saying that because we live in a world, Deb, unfortunately, where, we have advice coming from people. It's
Hmm.
kind of well-meaning advice, but it's
Hmm.
bad advice. Like
Right.
things like, just start with a simple account.
Hmm.
You can always change it later and things like that. I just don't subscribe to that because my
Hmm.
opinion is, hey, I'm going to be successful.
Hmm.
So I'm going to get myself set up
Right.
like you
Set it
mentioned.
up right to start with. Hmm.
Exactly. So that's really all you require.
Hmm.
Like it's an open market, so
Hmm.
there's no real like application process per se. You just send in all your information, and you
Hmm.
should have your seller account verified pretty quickly. Because once you've all your stuff in there, there's,
Hmm.
there's never a problem. And really, from then you'd be placing the order for your products at that point
Hmm.
in time from the Far East or the US if you can get them
Hmm.
domestically. And the thing there you mentioned, which is true, part of that can be quite complex in that there's a timing thing that goes on here.
Hmm.
So it's going to take you about a month to get your order produced,
Hmm.
whatever size that
Right.
is. And
And
again,
we're going to do a little disclaimer, a month during normal
right,
circumstances.
yeah, very familiar. Yes,
If
yes,
you're
exactly.
dealing with some countries right now, it's going to take a little bit longer.
Yes, exactly. So about let's just say a month at normal time to
Hmm.
get your items produced. Then it's going to be definitely another month to get your items shipped at
Hmm.
least. So it's going to take you like all in from finding products and all of that.
Hmm.
It's going to take you about 90 to 112 days to get into stock, right?
Hmm.
And some people think, oh my God, it's so long. It does take time because it's coming by sea.
Hmm.
However, all of this is, we teach our members how to keep an eye on their stock, like you mentioned, how to identify how long it takes to get it
Hmm.
produced into stock from the Far East. So all of that you can figure out. We have software that helps people figure all that out.
Hmm.
The tricky part was the shipping. And
Hmm.
we did this for many years. We used
Hmm.
different freight forwarders and all of that. And, a lot of them were okay.
Hmm.
Many of them were not
Hmm.
okay. They were really didn't care about our business that much. And we just, it just wasn't a good experience.
Hmm.
So as I mentioned earlier on, we put our freight company in place because we tried for years to partner with freight businesses and show them what Amazon sellers are
Hmm.
looking for and all of that. And thankfully now we've really simplified the global shipping process
Hmm.
because anyone who's ever shipped anything from China will know that you've got to send a million different emails to your freight forwarder.
Hmm.
They'll ask you the same questions every time, like you've never shipped it before with them.
Right.
Really frustrating.
Hmm.
Whereas what we have now is we literally have an online software application
Mm.
where you can tell me, all right, Stephen, I have an order. My supplier tells me it's 2 cubic meters, which for
Hmm.
anybody listening is a bit of pallet.
Hmm.
Because we do things in cubic meters. It's
Hmm.
in size. So it's 2 cubic meters, Stephen. And here's all the supplier details. And it's in production right now. I just
Hmm.
ordered the products. We literally take over from there.
Ah.
We communicate with the supplier. We
Hmm.
do everything. And then you're able to pre-buy
Hmm.
shipping credits with us, meaning
Mm.
like I'll tell you, you can buy 5 cubic meters of space.
Hmm.
It's going to be $1,100, let's just call it,
Hmm.
right? So you're buying that ahead of time.
Hmm.
And then your two cubic meters there, that's fine. You've got 5 cubic meters in
Right.
credit. We'll
Hmm.
just take that off for you, Deb,
Hmm.
and see you in the US. And that's
Hmm.
essentially what it is. And it comes into our warehouse in Houston. Then we hold it in stock in there. And then
Hmm.
people send in their replenishments into Amazon at that point.
Hmm.
So that's really simplified things. If you
Hmm.
don't have something like that in place, that is where people get tripped up because they start having to deal with freight forwarders, find a freight
Hmm.
forwarder. If it's a small order, which a lot of
Right.
people
Yeah, I mean, that's the tricky thing. When you've got a small order, you're really at the whims of the shipper. They might, because say it's a pallet, they're going to put it where it fits when it fits. So
That's
they
right.
might have told you, okay, it's going to ship on July 1st. Well, then they got a huge order that took up all their space. Oh, well, sorry, your little pallet got bumped, or even your container. I mean, you might have enough that you've got a container. Well, that gets bumped. Or they don't have enough to justify bringing the ship. And so they're going to say, okay, we're going to put everything off for 2 weeks. So yeah, I mean, that's just that really is the confusing part. And let's be honest, they don't always communicate all that well because they don't know. You're dealing with multiple companies, multiple countries, multiple languages, and oi.
That's it. But again, someone like yourself, like again, I don't mean to be, you'll know what I say when I say this. Like a lot of times, freight forwarding companies, you're dealing with people who are a little bit older in nature. Sometimes they've been working there for a long time.
Or just more mature, seasoned,
there we go.
grumpy.
More mature. That's absolutely like a fine wine. And but the thing is that like you're obviously a very advanced person. You're technologically very good, but not everybody is, right? And sometimes when you're dealing with a company who've been around a long time, staff are a little bit older, you're coming along saying, I sell this stuff on Amazon. They're like, that's weird. We don't know what that is.
And they're dealing with file folders and paper copies.
That's right. So that can be the tricky part we found as well. So like they use email to communicate and it just goes on. I mean, we literally would have threads that would be like 100 emails back in the day. Crazy. So yeah, like we've really looked to modernize that. And it's really great for us because it gives us an ability to actually partner with our clients long term. A lot of people look at online course creators and they say kind of like, well, you're just selling a course and then you're going to like sit in, I don't know, in a hammock somewhere drinking a burrito, right? But like for us, we were always like, how can we partner with people longer term? We've basically taken all the money that we've made from our teaching business and we put it back into services. Now, don't get me wrong, like we're not a charity or anything, but we constantly are looking at how can I work with people for 10 years, 15 years, rather than how can I sell you a course and that's it.
Right.
Yeah. That's
and I'm going to come back to the fact that it does seem very confusing and very complicated. And, and I'm guessing that a lot of people, when they initially think about it, their eyes cross, they bug out and they go, I can't do this. And that's the nice thing about this is, you can walk them through the process and then they either continue to work with you or they go off on their own. I mean, there's obviously, but it's one of the things that I was looking at. So I'm on Amazon's website. I scroll down. Their list of companies that they own. There are a lot of companies on here that I'm guessing people have no idea Amazon owns. Amazon owns Zappos. I had no idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, we all know they own Whole Foods. That's been kind of a big thing. But they own Ring, the little doorbell doohickeys, all sorts of things. I mean, I had to increase the font because I could not read this. And the reason I'm saying this is it's showing how many opportunities there are. Now, granted, most people are going to go and be with Amazon through Amazon's site, but there are lots of other things. And so if you're thinking, well, gee, I'm not selling a widget, I've got this. Well, take a look on their website. It could be that there is an option for what you want.
Yeah, I think as well. I take that point for sure. I would also say for a lot of people listening, I have people come to me and say, well, Stephen, I sell this. Can I put it on Amazon? And a lot of times I would tell people, well, yeah, like you can put pretty much anything on Amazon. Better question is, should I put it on Amazon?
Right.
So I would say for most people though, what I love is when people come to us, they have an open mind. They're like, look, I don't know what to sell. Just show me how to figure it out.
Right.
They're always the people that do well. But the confusion thing, I definitely will take that on. I mean, I think if you look at any business when you're starting it, there's always a number of steps to get it established, right? I don't think this is any different to like if you were going to go start I don't know, like a vitamin store, just as a random example, here in Wexford, I've got to get a lot of different things in place, insurances and all that. You don't actually have as much of that when it was an Amazon-based business. But I think the confusion part always came down to what product should I sell?
Mm-hmm.
How do I get it imported? They're the two tricky parts.
Right.
And we've really worked hard to simplify those
Mm-hmm.
in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that said, the key thing for anybody listening today is be open to selling different things on Amazon. Be
Right.
open to having a business currently.
Mm-hmm.
And be open to maybe having products on Amazon that don't even relate to your business. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you're even like a
Right.
consultant right now. And
Yeah, we mentioned, people are doing this as second jobs and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So loads of our members,
Mm-hmm.
like, I mean, we do case studies every week
Mm-hmm.
now on our YouTube channel. And, if you guys want to check them out, feel free. Like, I mean, a lot of people from all walks of life,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times it starts out as a supplementary income, like you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned. I want to make an extra $2,000 a month, an extra whatever a month, fill in the blank. And off they go.
Mm-hmm.
And then it becomes a full-time gig for a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
then. And really, like, the cool thing about it is that when you break down the numbers, like, it's not that impossible. Like, even an extra $1,000 a month
Mm-hmm.
is $30 a day. And when you think about it that way, you're like,
Right.
well, if I make $5 a sale, I need to make 6 sales in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Get
Yeah.
me there, And
Yeah, I can sell 6 widgets in a day.
for sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the possibility of it
Mm-hmm.
is huge.
Right.
And we've done all these things where we've done all these calculations. And one of the calculations we came up with was you could order the wrong product 35 times.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as the 36th product is correct,
Right.
you wouldn't lose any money
Mm-hmm.
with selling on Amazon. And that's like ordering a decent amount from China, a lot of investment. Why is that? Well,
Mm-hmm.
whenever you sell a product on Amazon, we mentioned that $20 sales price, 30% of that net profit before
Mm-hmm.
tax. But that net profit you just made, you should have doubled your original investment, right? That's what you're looking at, 100%. Some people will call it ROI. We call it POI, profit on investment. It's pretty much the same thing. How much did I increase my investment by? And when you're starting out on Amazon, you're looking to double your money. And the really cool thing about Amazon is that you get this kind of hockey stick growth where you're going up, 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 up. Shoom, all of a sudden it can just,
Right. Mm-hmm.
it doesn't always do it, but typically there's a hockey stick like that in most products that you'd be selling. And so, yeah, we do want to sell a small number of units a day, but many of our members, ourselves included, some products just go crazy. It's always going to happen 80-20. We all know that. And so the point anyway is that when you're starting out, you're looking for something that's going to be stable. It's going to sell a small number of units a day. And over time, that 100% actually increases to more like 300 or 400%.
Right.
How is that? Well, it's because you're going to start turning your stock a lot faster. You're going to start selling a faster velocity. Therefore, you're getting your money back faster. It'll put your money back in, and you're going to get it back out quicker. And again, I'm not going to get into all the calculations or anything, but just for anybody listening, it's like you'll start out a little bit slower, but it really accelerates. And then the more products you put into the flywheel, which is what it is, the faster then your income will increase monthly and your business will increase. And it's like any business, but that's the cool thing. You can sell almost any product on there and get involved in it, as long as it makes sense.
Right. Yeah. And then, of course, the cool part also is that you can do this in your spare time as a second job, as whatever, because it's not like you need to be sitting at your desk from 9 to 5 to manage this. I mean, you can be, doing whatever. Now, that said, if you're a big enough seller that you need customer service, and because that's, if somebody asks a question, you don't want somebody, waiting for a day, because again, like I said, people go immediately to something else. So, and I've talked with somebody who did this. One of his things that he did was he had, and they were overseas, and they were the customer service people. They responded to the answers. So he still didn't do that. He trained them, and every once in a while there was a question they could not answer. But, it was things like, does this come in blue? What size is it? Things that were very easy for somebody to answer, but somebody wanted an answer right now because blue is my color scheme and I needed it to be blue. And so, but as the owner of this, you don't have to be there 24/7.
No, it's the huge thing about FBA as well. Like, I mean, Amazon will do all the inbound customer support related to the order. So where's my item? Amazon deal with that. And I can tell you if you've never had experience this, 75% of your queries are, where's my item? It's just how it is.
Yep.
So that's gone. Then as you mentioned quite rightly, there can be some product specific questions that you will answer. However, you can watch a lot of our case studies. I can tell you from experience, but it's good to hear from other people too. You know, the types of products that we sell, you're getting a message like
Right. Yeah.
one a week. Maybe,
Blue is not an option.
like, but it's not even, it's like so few questions,
Right.
like because of the types of items we're selling, you know, whereas you get into ones that are a bit more complicated, typically more competitive. Yes, you're going to get a lot more of those questions. So we don't have too much of that. And you're right. You can live anywhere and do a business like this, because remember, Amazon do the day-to-day, they ship it out on your behalf, customer support. We are, whenever people work with us, we help import the products and obviously teach as well. So you can outsource a lot of stuff to ourselves also. So you don't have to like have a whole bunch of stuff sitting in your shed or whatever, your garage. And so, yeah, like it's very outsourceable. And so what's the main thing then if it's all very outsourceable? It's product selection, and it's consistent research, filling your pipeline with profitable product ideas, communicating. You can outsource the communication with suppliers for sure. You can even outsource the research if you want, but we typically don't, because that's the key part. I'd like to have a little bit of control on that. And you can sit in any country once we're allowed to fly again, or any state once we're allowed to fly again. You can do that. You know, you don't have to be anywhere for
Right. We can actually go back to being on the beach and doing this.
Yep. One day. One day, yes.
Right, right. Well, speaking of one day, that's been kind of one of the glitches that has happened recently within the last 3 months. You know, we talk about about being a Prime member. People have been complaining because they haven't, and hello, I didn't complain. I realized, I'm not getting stuff right away.
Yeah.
And so Amazon fields all of those. But, as I think I mentioned, but if not, we are recording this right in the middle of the pandemic. One of the things that we saw, and it has, righted itself, but we had people who did price gouging, I mentioned hand sanitizer. When you would go on Amazon and toilet paper and hand sanitizer were $80.
Yeah.
Amazon itself cracked down hard on those really pretty fast. So talk to us a little bit more about that, because I think that's one of the things that people, they don't understand. Well, why can't I make $80 for, 4 rolls of toilet paper?
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. It's not something that we've had any real issue with or anything.
Well, because you work with good people to start with.
Yeah, we just don't sell those types of items. Right. I will say though, I had a lot of people, the minute this thing kicked off, tons of people messaging me, I can get you all this stuff and make all this money and contact me and whatever. I never got involved. I would never get involved in anything like that. It's not something I'd ever want to do. But yeah, it was an interesting time, and Amazon got involved, like you mentioned, and they cracked down very quickly on it because it wasn't right. It's like it is. But again, unfortunately, whenever a crisis happens like this, some people want to capitalize, but it's good that Amazon don't allow that. That said, though, I think during this time, the interesting fact for me was the fact that Amazon had to take on 100,000 new warehouse staff.
Right.
Because, as you mentioned, quite right.
Everybody is now ordering online. We're either not allowed to and or are scared to go into stores.
Yeah, I think, for sure. And as well, when stores close, you got to get your stuff from somewhere. Amazon could stay open because of the range of products that they sell. Many of them were essentials. So they were able to stay open, and then everything else was able to be sold as well, which is great. And I think now, before the pandemic, about 14% of retail sales were online. But again, that's jumped to estimated nearly 50%, probably more now.
Right. And
I don't think it's going to go back a little bit. Obviously, it's not going to stay where it is now, but it's going to go back a little bit. Right. But a lot of it will stay where it is. This has changed the retail forever, I would say. And again, Amazon were already very much the most dominant force in e-commerce. That's going to continue to the point now where obviously governments are looking at Amazon. And
right. Yeah. Are they a monopoly?
It's too big now, right? But still, I think the important thing to mention is that 50 to 70% of Amazon's business comes from people like you and me, which a lot of people don't realize. That you mentioned all the other companies they're involved with, as well as the fact that they run a lot of web servers for companies like Netflix and stuff like that. So they're huge, and it's a huge marketplace. It's a massive opportunity, even in other countries like Europe as well. It's less developed. then .com.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just because so many more people are coming online now, new opportunities constantly are appearing.
Right.
New niches are constantly appearing, and that's a good thing for any of us who are looking to move into this. And
Right.
so much so that our members all reported their business is growing, whereas most businesses were shrinking. And
Right.
so, that's just down to the fact that we are in quote unquote the right business at the moment,
Right. And it is, the business way is to look for opportunities. And it's funny, when you were talking about this, I was thinking, okay, so one of the big things now is obviously to be able to buy masks. So that's the big product. And I just bought some new masks, and some things that was very complicated because there were so many, yada, yada, yada. But then if you start drilling down, if you're going to be selling through Amazon, maybe what you want to be selling is the elastic that people are using to make their own masks. I have a friend who has been making 20, 30 masks a day and selling them. And elastic was the thing she couldn't get. And she wanted to do the ones that went over the ear as opposed to tying. And so she needed elastic. So just think if that was what you were selling, because she's not unique. She's not the only person making these masks. And, and so people doing their market research by reading on Facebook with all these people saying, oh my gosh, we can't buy elastic. Maybe that's what you do, or the fabric, or, I was at the doctor the other day and the lady was next to me was saying, well, she couldn't buy the filter for her mask. So she was using coffee filters. Yeah. And I'm thinking that's probably not going to work, but I didn't want to tell her that. But yeah, so it's those, the offshoot type of things. And, and you hate to say that you're taking advantage of the opportunity, but that's the way it works. I mean, that's just the way businesses work. The key is to not do the things like price gouging.
But I think, again, like the probably best advice for a lot of those things that I would say, we typically don't get involved in trendy items because for anybody who wants...
masks are going to go away after a while.
Well, yeah, but for anybody who wants to see this in action, go to Google Trends and look at the fidget spinner and look at it over 5 years. Right. You'll see it. It went shoo, and then down like a cliff.
Oh yeah. Pet rocks. Things like that.
And I would say certain products like masks and things like that, yeah, they're going to be around for a while, but we just don't go there. I think is the best. We are looking for what's something I can sell, and I could be selling it for the next 5 to 10 years. That's what I'm after. And again, maybe masks are one of them, but I suppose the thing I'll tell everybody listening, and it's a good point you bring up, Deb, it's kind of like a lot of times people look at the macro thing that's happened and what's the opportunity off the macro thing. Whereas on Amazon, it's more like, give me the data, Amazon. Tell me what's happening in the market now, and let me see, let me make decisions based upon what your market is telling me. And that's kind of how we operate.
Yeah. A better example might be, say, maybe home office products and supplies.
Right, absolutely.
Because that could be something, and I think that really is going to be something that so many people, maybe they go back into their office 4 days a week and then they're home 1 day a week,
100%.
or they're permanently in their home office, whatever it is. But I think that could be something that years from now we're going to be doing because companies have figured out, ooh, that worked pretty good. People were still getting the work done. We weren't having to pay, if they actually shut down, they're not having to pay the rent on those spaces, all of that various things. And so, that might be a trend to look at.
Yeah, well, we actually set up a site for a little test project a few months ago now during the pandemic, and we were selling home exercise gear equipment.
Right.
And man, we were selling an unbelievable amount. We couldn't get a reliable enough stock source, unfortunately, because we were drop shipping these items as a test. But these things went crazy. And so, yeah, I think you're right. It's just the key then is is this a product or are these products then it still makes sense to sell on Amazon for me? Right. And that's the question, which again, anybody who wants to learn to do that, that's something you can learn from ourselves for sure. How to identify the right products, how to identify what to do with the product to make it stand out, to make it more interesting, to make it better, and then how to sell it globally. That's 100% our wheelhouse.
Right. Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, the pandemic was global, but there are a lot of things that are obviously very country specific, even smaller niches in, say you've got, the United States. I mean, there are things that
Yeah,
you buy in Texas that you're not going to buy in Boston.
100%. Yes, absolutely. Like hunting is a great example in the
Mhm,
US, right? So
mhm,
hunting happens in every
mhm,
country, but in the US, it's just such a humongous
mhm.
market.
Right.
But as you say, in certain states,
Hmm.
then that same market will be
Hmm.
bigger in some
Right.
states than others. It's it's
Hmm.
it's fascinating.
Yeah. And one of the things that I love, and we're almost out of time, and so I want to talk about this just very briefly again. It
Sure.
is for the people who are thinking, okay, I need to do this. I want to do this. I need to either totally replace my income or supplement it because, things are now getting a little questionable, but I don't even know what to do. And so I love that they can work with you and you'll say, okay, we'll help you figure out what that product is. So I don't have to come to you and say, Stephen, I've got a widget. I can just come to you and say, help.
Yes, well, to help me find the widget. That's the best
Hmm.
question. And I think as well for anybody listening, I would just say this is a wonderful business. Like, I mean, it
Hmm.
really is. It's a really great business, but at the
Hmm.
same time, there's some capital involved, right? I
Right.
mean, I
Oh yeah, you
wouldn't
got to buy those darn widgets.
exactly, yeah. So just for anybody listening, that's just something to expect,
Hmm.
and that's okay because as I always tell people,
Hmm.
hey, do you want to make the most amount of money possible or the least amount of money possible? And everyone says the most. So I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, well then we got to invest some money to
Hmm.
make the most amount of money
Right.
possible. But we covered that pretty well. But
Hmm.
yeah, look, a lot of people now, they've realized, unfortunately, that the income that they've been receiving for many years, it is questionable nowadays.
Hmm.
And some people might say, oh, it's fear mongering. But it's not though, because it's
Hmm.
happened now. And we've
Right.
seen the effect of a pandemic. We've
Hmm.
seen different things happening, the shift of technology. Things are happening very quickly now. And
Hmm.
so it really does make sense, no matter what age you are, just to start educating yourself
Hmm.
a bit more about what is out there on the
Right.
internet right now.
Hmm.
We're moving to much more of an
Hmm.
internet-based economy now, and that's normal and that's
Hmm.
cool. But I just think that some people are getting left behind because they're not been open to learning
Hmm.
about these things. And so you're not going to learn a lot of the stuff in the textbook because by the time the book's been written, the things
Right.
that
Yeah. Even
you gotta
publish on demand. It's, it
it
changed
just moves quickly.
overnight.
Yeah, it just moves
Hmm.
so fast and markets change, but our system hasn't changed
Hmm.
for really very much for like
Hmm.
10 years now.
Hmm. Right.
Um,
Yeah, because it's sound business principles.
Yeah, it's just exactly. But if you were selling something really competitive on Amazon, it will constantly be changing
Hmm.
because you've got to find different ways
Hmm.
to get back in front of people again.
Hmm.
And that's why we just don't sell those items.
Hmm. Right. Yeah, because I mean the goal is, as we said, you're not doing this 24/7.
No.
And now I will say it's probably you get out of it what you put into it.
Oh
If
yeah.
it's, I'm only going to spend an hour a week, maybe not so much.
Yeah.
But if it's, okay, I'm going to work on it an hour, a couple hours a day,
Yeah.
that could probably be pretty beneficial. And,
Definitely.
we've been joking, especially, here like in Atlanta and other places where people went from commuting and spending a couple hours in the car to walking down the hall to their second bedroom, right? And so they've now got 2 free hours of time. Or, I home office. I've home officed for years, but I'm not going out to
Mhm.
meetings. I'm not going to networking, all those things. So that's a big time saver. So I have time that I can be doing this.
There's always time, like
Hmm.
we're all busy. We all lead busy lives, but if you really want something, you'll always reorganize and create the time.
Right.
I still take on new hobbies, different things all the time. I'm busy. We run multiple businesses, but as I always tell people, if I really want something,
Hmm.
I'll move things so that I can fit that in.
Right.
And for most people listening, it's really a question of like,
Hmm.
number one, how much do I want to do this
Hmm.
to create an income for
Hmm.
myself outside of my job? But number two,
Hmm.
it's a why thing. You
Right.
know, this is important to me.
Hmm.
Things are changing.
Hmm.
I can see the value in learning these skills
Hmm.
because that's the big thing I will say, Deb, and we're finishing up, but like skills are huge.
Hmm.
And I don't think there's been enough emphasis placed on skills over the last few years because there was that, 4-hour work week, which I love the book and all, but like,
Hmm.
oh, you can just outsource everything. And I
Right.
think almost like learning skills
Hmm.
was kind of like put out a little bit as like, oh no, you'll just find someone to do it for you. But I think it's more about skills of business is what we're talking about here. Identifying markets, identifying how to improve something, figuring out profitability, having that kind of base business knowledge. It'll benefit you in everything you do in life. So it's definitely worth investing time to get that knowledge, because it'll even benefit your current career as well,
Right. And one of the things that I was thinking about, and it'll be my final thought before I have your final thought, is, for people who their schedules just went completely bonkers, all of a sudden they have a spouse at home, they have kids, they're now having to teach their kids. I mean, all sorts of things. And who knows what's going to happen in the fall? We don't know if kids are going to be able to go back to school anywhere from, kindergarten through college. I mean, we don't know what that's going to look like. And so you've got all of that. And so this is something that really is so flexible with your time, and so you can't, and one of the things that I have liked about the pandemic is seeing people spending so much time with their families, and seeing them outside playing, seeing all of these things. This is still going to allow you to do that.
Yeah, 100%. No, it's been the pandemic that I would say I was one weird benefit of it. I don't know how to say if it's a benefit, but yeah, I have a little boy. He's only 16 months old now.
He's getting ready to walk, or he is walking.
He's walking. He's walking already. He owns the place.
Of course.
But it was great because I got to spend a lot of time with him and my wife as well. And that probably wouldn't have happened had this not happened. So I suppose there's always something to be grateful for. But the big thing is we got to learn from this, right? Where was I? Like we said, there were certain companies went under during this time. They were a bit shaky beforehand. So in my own life right now, what is a little bit shaky like that? What do I have the opportunity to start to review now? What do I really want now? Do I want more of that time with my family now? What do I want? What's important to me?
Right.
And so this business, it can help you with a lot of those things, and so I'd love to help anybody who's listened today and enjoyed what I had to say. I'd love to help you, support you in any way I can.
Right.
Regardless, I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Well, how do they find you and connect with you?
Sure. They can go to marketplacesuperheroes.com, HEROES as well. And you can go to YouTube, type in Marketplace Superheroes. We've got tons of stuff on there. Okay. And the final place is you can go to Instagram. Stephen J. Summers is my handle on there. Feel free to message me anytime. I'll get you a little voicemail back or a text. I'm happy to do that.
Great. I love it. Well, this has been fantastic. And as I said, we didn't, there's so many things. We just scratched the surface on this. So we'll definitely have to chat again. And maybe the thing is to chat, towards the end of the year to see how things have kind of, settled, and things like that. So we'll get that set up. But in the meantime, what final thoughts do you have for everyone?
I love this idea that your goal in life is to become a producer, not a consumer. And I feel that if you took that away from today and you started to ask yourself, how can I become more of a producer in my day-to-day life? How can I, instead of buying stuff on Amazon all the time, how can I sell some stuff on Amazon? How can I start to turn the tables a little bit and start to produce a bit more? And that was the thought that changed my life many years ago. And it continues to. I keep asking myself, am I producing or am I consuming in this moment? And so I just love for anybody to take that away. And this is a great vehicle to become a producer. And look, even if you never work with me ever, I hope you learned something from us today. Deb, you had some great points. And also I'd like to thank you for having me on, because I know the effort that's in content, it's a huge amount of effort. So thank you for creating this platform where we can actually share this message.
Well, thank you. And people ask me, what do you get out of it? I get to talk to the coolest people. That's that, and learn stuff. I mean, every time, it's so at some point my head's just going to explode because I'll have talked to too many people. But yeah, so it's so much fun, and so thank you for being a guest. I'm Deb Creer. I've been having a delightful conversation with Stephen Summers, and until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.